Boom! Welcome back, Sports and Spirits. Different location than last year or last week. Sorry. Wow, it's off to a great start. Really, you could tell that I've got a new puppy and haven't gotten any sleep. That's where we're at.
Yeah.
But like usual, Steve, Josh, we're back. We're about to recap this last weekend in sports. I'll let you kick it off.
Yeah. We're gonna kind of cover a little bit of like late part of last week as well, just because it kind of led into the weekend. But yeah, it was a pretty packed weekend, especially on the sports side, and just a lot going on. Probably the most prominent in most people's minds was probably the NFL. It was one of the craziest slates, at least for the start of this season. You had your Sunday morning game, so you got to wake up early, 8:30 in the morning, and
That's right.
watch a game. And it was in the first international game in Dublin, Ireland.
So Pittsburgh basically made history.
They did.
By winning.
They did.
They're the first ever to win in Dublin.
Yes, they are. They are the first to win in Dublin. Yeah, it was. It's one of those games when you're watching it that you can kind of see the injuries that have happened on the offensive line, especially for the Vikings.
For sure.
Kind of really
Tons of pressure.
really played a toll on the game in terms of just Carson Wentz, in terms of decision-making, timing, everything.
6 sacks?
Yeah, 6 sacks.
Crazy.
Yeah, it was one of those where it's something to look out for. Hopefully the Vikes can correct the O-line injuries going forward anyway. Otherwise, it's going to be a long season.
But still threw for 150 more yards than Rodgers.
He did. Yeah, I mean, part of that was a lot of garbage time.
Yep.
Just naturally with, when you're coming from behind.
Getting
But
those reps.
it is one of those that is going to be interesting to see what happens. They are going to follow it up this next coming week with another game overseas too. So that'll be
Where's that
interesting.
one?
That's actually going to be in England.
Oh, wow.
So that'll be something to watch, and the Steelers will go on a bye. But yeah. So then to lead into the noon slate, probably the one that most people were talking about going into the week was Eagles-Bucks. They were both 3-0 teams. They were playing in Tampa Bay. The Eagles have found some interesting ways to win this year. I think it speaks volume on just the veteran leadership that they have in terms of guys that have been there, done that. They win a really, really tough game, 31-25, that really just showed that their class in terms of efficiency, taking advantage of certain situations. They did, however, give up 2 touchdowns over 70 yards. So that is a different change from last year. They really weren't a team that gave up big plays like that.
Right.
So that'd be something to keep an eye out for, that if their defense is more prone to errors or letting up big plays, that could bite them in the butt in the end. But,
What about Chase drilling that 65-yard field goal?
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
The longest field goal kick in an outdoor stadium.
That is correct, yes. Because generally speaking, when it comes to those field goal kicks, it's a lot easier inside when there's no wind conditions.
Right.
Nothing playing a factor in terms of the condition. And we talked about it earlier. We think that there's going to be a good chance that somebody breaks that 66-yarder this year. I just think with the way they can manipulate the balls going into it now.
Like we said in last week's episode, now they have the entire week.
Yeah. So it's not just the hour beforehand. Right. Now you got a whole week where they can, manipulate them. It just lets them kick it easier and they're softer.
Yep.
And so the ball's going to carry farther just naturally. So yeah,
you're going to see a lot of those 65-yarders.
Yeah, you will. It's just the state of the NFL we are in today, and I think that Eagles starting 4-0. They couldn't ask for anything better. So it'll be interesting to see how the season progresses. So. But probably the craziest lopsided game of the week would be the Patriots.
Really?
Yeah, they actually, honestly, just destroyed the Panthers.
I was going to say Denver, Cincinnati. But
yeah, I mean, yes and no. I mean, I think that the Patriots have a better roster than you see on paper. They're coached well. They got a really young quarterback. I really think Drake May is going to be special. I think he has the ability to be a superstar in this league. I think a lot of people like to call him the Walmart Josh Allen. Yep. So that'll be interesting to monitor as the season goes on because they play each other twice a year. So that'll definitely be something that'll be compared for sure for years to come. But good start for them to get a big win there. So that's good. So, well, I guess maybe this one probably hits home for you a little bit. The Giants pull off a big upset against the Chargers.
It's the worst. This is the worst news in history right now. I just got the news this morning.
Yep.
From my wife saying that our boy Neighbors is out.
Yeah, Malik Neighbors, unfortunately, tore his ACL on Sunday.
Season ender.
Season ender.
And he was one of our biggest players on our fantasy team.
I know, it's
the worst.
It's not great. And this is a systemic problem from MetLife Stadium itself. Over the last 6 years, it's been the most injury-plagued turf and field that's been played on. Most notably, Aaron Rodgers tore an Achilles. You got like 6 or 7 different ACLs, a couple on the Giants. I mean, it begs the question we talked about earlier in regards to the turf fields and what they can do to potentially fix that problem.
Especially there, I guess.
Especially there. I mean, just bad omen for sure.
Yeah, no doubt.
But rookie quarterback Jackson Dart gets the win in his first start. It's a big win for him. The Giants' season's going to be interesting without their best player on offense, I think. But it's at least a positive, going forward, being that they were 0-3.
Freaking neighbors.
So that one sucks. That's going to hurt a lot of people's leagues, a lot of fantasy guys that are going to be, hurting on that one. But unfortunately, that's the name of the game.
I'm one of those guys.
Yeah, you are one of those guys.
Barf.
Yeah, and honestly, I think that it might be underselling their abilities this year if we don't talk about the Bills potentially being the team that, to beat in the AFC right now.
That's crazy to say.
It is really crazy. They've been really, really, really close in a lot of years, especially in recent past.
Yep.
I think the difference has been that, they haven't had a more, well-rounded roster. And I think with their big win against the Saints, going to put them at 4-0, that home field advantage throughout the playoffs is really, really important. Sure. I've seen more crazy games happen in Buffalo than any other stadium venue
it's such
ever.
A cool spot too because it's open air.
It is,
and
especially when it's cold.
Yeah, you have the snow possibility. I mean, it's kind of like Lambeau too, but
sure.
At the same time, it's a little bit more there because they're on the other side of that lake.
Correct, and so I do think that the real difference maker this year that could take them over the top is how special James Cook has been through 4 weeks. I mean, it might be too early to call, but I actually think he could be a candidate this year for Offensive Player of the Year.
Yep.
I think if you complement him with Josh Allen and all the skill set around him, I mean, Josh Allen doesn't have to be super special for them to win if James Cook is going to play at that kind of level, exactly. And that could be the difference in why when it comes to, late December, getting into January and playoff time, that could be the difference in why they can make a deep run this year.
Yep.
So that'll be something to monitor, especially as the season gets going here. So
and it's just getting going. We're at the what? We're at the quarterway mark.
4 weeks through. So yeah, I mean, a lot of things can change as the progression of the season goes on. So yeah, I guess the matchup that everybody was talking about of 1 and 2 teams, you had the Chiefs and Ravens. And I think most people would be shocked by the result if they watched the game.
Right.
I do think that the Chiefs just physically just overpowered them.
Yep.
I think the Ravens defense is so depleted at this point that it could be really scary to see what happens as the season progresses. And we got news this morning that Lamar is going to be out with a hamstring injury, potentially a couple weeks. So especially in terms of your fantasy teams, it definitely hurts. I know I have him in a couple leagues. So it's one of those that, you can't predict. It's football, but that's going to be a tough one for the Ravens to overcome. He's the best quarterback, in my opinion, in the NFL. So, but on the other side of that game, Patrick Mahomes becomes the youngest quarterback in NFL history to throw for 250 passing yards.
4 touchdown passes.
Yeah.
That's
250 passing
crazy.
touchdowns. Yeah. He had 4 tutties in the game. It's just, he finds a way. That's been his kind of MO for his career. I mean, it's not always pretty, and it doesn't have to be. Winning football is winning football. It doesn't have to be where you beat a team by 40 points to win the game, and so I think if you look at that roster and if they, can get 100% healthy going in the next couple weeks here,
watch out. Worthy.
Yeah,
he made a strong comeback.
He did.
Finished with 83 yards.
Yeah, 83 yards. Had
5 catches,
38 on the ground as well.
Right.
Over 100 on the day.
That's a nice comeback for him.
It's a nice comeback. I mean, had he been healthy, I guarantee you they might be 4-0.
Right.
I think that is unquestionably a debate, but I think that that's very possible. So watch out for them, especially
Who's backing up? Cooper Rush is backing up Lamar Jackson?
Cooper Rush, yes.
How's he?
Well, he played for Dallas last year with Dak getting injured. He looked all right. I mean, the concern is he's not going to be the same skill set player, obviously, with running the ball. in terms of out of the backfield. So that'll be something to monitor, that he's going to be more of a pocket passer. A lot of Derrick Henry probably the next couple weeks.
Got it.
That would be my assumption. Still got to stop people on defense, though, if you want a chance to win. So that's going to be the thing to keep an eye out for.
But they were perfect on fourth downs.
They were, yes.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it is
4 out of 4.
Yep.
And good in the red zone, so you can't beat that.
Nope. It's tough to beat a team when they're that on point that day. So probably one of the craziest games on the slate would have been the Rams-Colts. I can't believe we're talking about that. It was one of the most shocking games that I think of the week. You had a Rams get a 27-20 win. Puka and Stafford's connection is special. Yeah. They have looked like the best duo, scariest duo at least in the NFL to start through 4 weeks. So that would be one to monitor. They play this week on Thursday, so they'll be fresh in your mind. So they'll be a duo to look out for. I mean, 100 yards pretty much every game. He's getting 10 to 12 catches. I mean, it's just going to be one of those seasons that he's on pace for 2,000. So he could break the receiving yards record, and so that could be a crazy one to look at. But if you watch the game, the Colts receiver A.D. Mitchell, he had probably a couple of the craziest mistakes back to back that he could ever have. But he catches a long reception, basically makes a couple moves on the defender. He's running towards the end zone. He fumbles the ball on the 1 yard line out of the end zone, which in today's rule is now a touchback because he lost the possession of it and rolls out of the end zone on what would have been like an 88-yard touchdown.
Brother, you're a professional.
Yeah.
You're in this league for a reason.
Correct.
To not make mistakes like that.
And not only does that, is it later in the game with 2 minutes to go, Jonathan Taylor breaks a 52-yard touchdown run to put them in the lead.
Oh, man.
And he gets called on tackling a guy to the ground for holding. So not only did he fumble the ball out of the end zone that cost him a touchdown, he also cost him a second touchdown later in the game for a holding that didn't even need to happen. It was away from the play. That guy wasn't even going to be close. So it was not a great game for him.
Definitely. Your emotions get in the way. You're getting chippy out there. Just cost you a big wow.
He's going to be sitting a lot of bench, I feel like, this next week after that. But either way, Rams got to look good, 3-1. They got a big game this week against the 49ers. So that'll be one to look out for on the next slate. Bears win a wild game on the road.
Bears.
26-25 with a blocked field goal at the end to seal it.
Really?
Yeah, they blocked a field goal at the end. It was one of those Ashton Genty has arrived games. 3 touchdowns out of the rookie, and 6th overall pick.
There's been a lot of blocked field goals.
A lot of blocked field goals. Yeah, we talked about it. Those long distance ones, it's just one of those things these kickers kind of just assume that it's not getting blocked, and these guys are putting in the effort to get in there and get their arm up, and it's working. So I love to see it. It makes it a not dead play, so I'm good with that.
Yeah, because it used to be like, okay, here they go for the extra point, whatever.
Yeah. You would just turn it off. You go grab your snack. You would come back, whatever, and you'd be like, oh, what happened?
Kind of interesting.
Now you got to watch, which is good. So, and then to round out the slate on Sunday, you had the Packers battle it out against the Cowboys. It was a much anticipated game for sure. Michael Parsons making his return home. The Packers, we're talked about 2 weeks ago as being the team to beat in the NFC. So the game actually ended up in a 40-40 tie.
The worst.
It was an up and down game, but prominently mostly all offense. Just on both sides. Both defenses really looked like they struggle to just create stops in general. Not necessarily the best result to end the game.
Nope.
But a field goal with 1 second to go.
So how does that work now with their standings and stuff like that?
Yeah, so it will go down in the record as a tie. So the Dallas Cowboys will be 1-2-1, and Green Bay will be 2-1-1. So usually what happens with that, if anybody knows anything about tiebreakers, is that it either benefits you or it hurts you based on the record. So like at the end of the season, if they are one less win than the next team, they would get the dub. in the seeding. So it could benefit them or it could hurt them at the end of the year. So it'll be one to
most likely will hurt them.
Yeah, I mean, especially on the Cowboys side, I think more than the Packers. I think the Packers still have a shot, to make the playoffs either way. But definitely not ideal for the Cowboys. They would have loved to get the win there.
Jordan Love, though, 337 passing yards, 3 touchdown passes.
Pretty good. Dak countered that with 304. So he looked special as well. So it was one of those, I think Dak could have a really big numbers year this year.
Both had 3 touchdown passes.
Yeah. So it was
obviously.
Yeah, it was a big one. So it'll be interesting to see if the Cowboys can create enough stops to win games because their offense has got plenty of firepower.
Right.
So
both sides. It looks
both
like
sides. Yeah.
Crushing.
Yeah. So it's definitely one to watch out for as the season goes on. So.
Hot dang.
But yeah.
Let's get to those feeder teams, baby.
There we go. Yeah. Let's talk about some. Let's talk about some college football. It was a really good slate on Saturday, as well as a shocker on Friday night. You had 8th-ranked Florida State getting stunned by Virginia. Boom. Yeah, so Florida State has really shocked people going into that week. They were undefeated.
Weren't they a shocker last week, too?
Yeah. A little bit? It was a couple. They actually upset Bama.
Right.
And so that was a big one that people didn't see coming, and they looked really special. And then they scored a lot of points the last 2 weeks against some below-par teams, and they played a really competitive Virginia team, and unfortunately they lost in double overtime. It was a good game. It was a good game to watch. I mean, there was a lot of ups and downs, a lot of points scored, so it could be one that could bite them in the butt in the end when it comes to that college football playoff because they unfortunately have a tough matchup against Miami, who's ranked 2nd next week. So that's going to be one to keep an eye out for in terms of their longevity of their season for sure. And then you had also on the slate the team that's kind of come out of nowhere from last year and kind of just doubled down on it and stays undefeated is 16th ranked Georgia Tech. That quarterback Hayes King has been really, really good both through the air and on the ground. He's got 100 yards rushing for the 3rd time to start this year, which is pretty impressive. If he's going to continue to be that kind of dual threat quarterback, they're going to have a shot to maybe sneak in on that back end of that college football playoff with a 30-29 victory over Wake Forest in overtime.
Because we don't end in ties.
And in college football, they try not to. Yeah, they do not. Yeah, they'll run it to quad overtime if they have to.
We need to get back to that in the NFL.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
ties. No.
Yeah, but and then another big one on the slate. You had 23rd ranked Illinois beats 21st ranked USC.
Dang.
On a last-second field goal. So it was an elite quarterback battle. Both guys having over 300 yards and QB ratings of over 150. So it was just like another example of really good offense, bad defense. Illinois get the win on that one, and that's going to be a good one for them, for strength of schedule components. So. All right, and next leading in, you had 22nd ranked Notre Dame dominates on the road at Arkansas. I think Jeremiah Love showed that he might be the most NFL ready player in terms of the running back position. He had producing 4 touchdowns in the day, 2 on the ground, and 2 receiving.
Remember 2 years ago when the big news was that Notre Dame shut down, but it wasn't this Notre Dame?
Correct.
Everybody was flipping out.
Yep. It's definitely one of those games that kind of propel them the rest of the season, to hopefully, bounce back.
That'll be really good for them.
Yeah, for sure. And then you had nothing super notable. First ranked Ohio State stays unbeaten. Beaten Washington 24-6, kind of expected.
Yeah.
They'll have some tougher opponents as the season goes on, but they stay unbeaten. You had 18th ranked Vanderbilt beat down on Utah State as expected. That's going to be a big matchup this coming week. They got the Tide, so that'll be one we'll talk about in the future here, and so that'll be one to kind of keep an eye out for.
Yep.
But they had 11th ranked Indiana outlast a tough Iowa team in a 20-15 victory on the road. All these, like I said, are expected victories. We just thought we'd highlight them, because there's some implications as the season.
Know.
Yeah. In case you didn't catch the game,
Exactly.
And then the 9th ranked Texas A&M team survives with a battle-tested, talented Auburn team, 16-10. I do believe that a guy to highlight here is Le'Veon Moss. I think he will be a guy that plays on Sundays. He had a pretty solid game with 21 carries for 139 yards and a touchdown. He truly was the best player on the field that day, and I think he will be at some point for your teams on Sunday as well.
Sure.
All right. Well, this is the one going into the week we kind of talked about as being potentially that one where there'd be an upset.
Shout out Livy Dunn.
Livy Dunn, yeah. Unfortunately for LSU, they didn't get the job done.
No. Probably because Livy Dunn wasn't on the sideline.
Correct. And so 13th ranked Ole Miss, as we kind of talked about, got it done, with the 24-19 victory.
We said that was going to happen.
We kind of predicted that one. That was a forecasted, plan that we thought that Ole Miss could shock people. LSU just doesn't win those big games.
Nope.
They don't win them. And that's been the problem since Kelly's been there. And until they address that problem, I think LSU is not going to be a team that's in the top, in terms of contention. So
these next two games, though,
were pretty spectacular.
Yeah.
Figured we'd say best for last.
Yeah. In this case, we've done it twice.
We've done it
two
twice.
Really good games that we saved for right now.
Yeah. So probably the biggest rivalry in football over the last decade, unquestionably, has been Alabama and Georgia. You had 17th ranked Bama take on 5th ranked Georgia on the road. This is one of those that people didn't know what was going to happen because you got two quarterbacks that pretty are unproven for both rosters.
Pretty sure we decided what was going to happen last week.
Yeah, we kind of talked about it, but I mean, Bama continues their dominance. They kind of shocked people with how good quarterback Ty Simpson played. I mean, he had one of the biggest games that he could have, especially in his young career, being that it's his first year starting this year. Bama's going to be a team, if he plays that well, they can be competitive. I mean, they got a lot of weapons in the running game, receiving game that, will be tough come, end of season, playing the playoff.
This game would have continued Georgia's streak of home wins at 33, but
Correct.
They snapped that bad boy.
Yeah, they 3 long win streaks have been snapped by the Tide. That back to a couple years back when they had like a 28-game win streak. The Tide broke that one as well.
Tide be changing, baby.
Yeah, I mean that's their Achilles heel.
Breaking record or snapping streaks.
Snapping streaks. So, we'll see. They got big games coming up for both teams this next coming week. But probably the biggest game on the docket in terms of ranked opponents was in the Big Ten. You had 3rd ranked Penn State and 6th ranked Oregon.
This is where we got into the old. The discussion about jet lag.
Yes, this is the jet lag discussion.
Didn't seem to affect them too much.
Didn't seem to affect them. Yeah. Oregon historically in these big games when they play teams that are probably on paper better than them do struggle.
No.
I think it speaks to their coach there, Lanning, in terms of they came ready to play.
Yeah.
That defense was ready to go. The only reason the score ended up being 30-24 is because it went to double overtime.
Yep.
Don't get it twisted. That defense played phenomenal. They had a game-sealing interception to win it, so the defense coming up big with the play at the end. And so I think Oregon is a legitimate contender this year with how good that young quarterback is and that defense flying around like they are.
Oregon 5-0, baby.
5-0. 5-0. They're going to be a top 3 team in the country after this week, and they're going to be a team to watch out for. You're going to see them probably take on Ohio State in probably the most talented matchup at some point throughout the season, whether it's in the Big Ten championship or whatever. So, But yeah.
Wow.
That was the slate of college football this weekend.
Now to the big rivalry.
Yeah.
They got quite a lot of press this last week. A lot of shorts were coming out, and Rory McIlroy had some tough words for our American crowd.
Yeah, it was.
He did not like the chirping.
Yeah, so this past weekend was the Ryder Cup. It was a 3-day event, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Bethpage Black.
Bethpage Black, baby.
Beautiful course.
Gorgeous. Very, very, very tough golf course. But yeah, the thing to watch out for most people was, just to see who's going to show up. I think it was one of those that in certain situations, the U.S. have not done well in match play.
No.
And so that's been our problem, at least against Team Europe.
No.
And so...
But like we mentioned last week, you guys to watch out for McIlroy. Okay. Fleetwood. Crushed it.
He had a good week.
4-0 on his matches.
He was good. The hottest player in golf stayed hot.
Whew. He was on fire.
Yeah, Justin Rose put it out of his mind, playing in his 7th Ryder Cup. I mean, you had guys like, Shane Lowry played really good with Rory. I mean,
Yep.
John Rahm played really good through the first 2 days. Terrell Hatton played solid. I mean, it's just one of those things that you don't know who's going to show up on the day, you know.
Right.
And so, unfortunately for the U.S., some of our best players didn't show up, and that ended up being kind of the deciding factor.
Do you feel like maybe they came into this almost mailing it in?
I mean, some of it has to be with like they were overly confident in their abilities
Right.
that they just expected a W, but
Right, because
you can't.
I mean, since this is the first time the away team has taken the cup since 2012.
Correct.
So that's a lot of years to be like, oh yeah, building this confidence up. Like they're in our turf, they're not going to take the cup.
Right.
And so I think that almost played against the American team in this case because they kind of went in
100%.
there. They just felt like especially like somebody like Scheffler, like this dude's been on fire in the PGA for
4 years, whatever.
Exactly. And so it's like, did that play into it? Like, no, I got this.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
the
like
best
cakewalk.
golfer. I'm the best golfer in the PGA right now.
Right. And so I think part of that had to be an impact on that for sure. I mean, it has to be. I mean, discussed at least because like they.
But I guess, I mean, even too, that's the thing, though, is like the crowd dynamic was playing against Europe, and they still overcame all of that.
Right. But I think part of that has to stem, like, if you're a competitor and you compete at the highest level, which what these guys are doing, you know, they're competing on the world stage. That fuels you. Because I think after day 2, I believe it was 11.5 to 4.5.
Right.
You know, it was basically a guarantee going into Sunday that it was Europe's to lose.
Yep.
But we put on a fight. I mean, we won pretty much almost every single match on Sunday.
I mean, it wasn't a complete blowout.
Right, in the end.
Yeah.
In the end.
All the way at the end.
At the end, it ended up being 15-13.
Right.
One of the most scrutinized topics was Hovland opting out on Sunday, and they still got a half a point for it.
What?
Yeah, because they deem it as a wash, not a win.
Oh, sure.
Which is kind of crap. That ended up playing a little bit of a factor in terms of the points. But, the Europe looked good. Rory was solid. Fleetwood, awesome, like we said. And they got the win on U.S. soil. And never a good one if you're Team USA, you know. So it is unfortunate, but
we could do a little better, though.
We could do better.
As far as, like, the American crowd not being such a...
Yes, there was definitely some scrutiny along those lines. That was not.
Yes. McEnroe's wife getting hit by a
beer.
It's like, come on.
Have a little class.
Right.
I mean, I think that has to do with it.
Especially in golf.
It's the classiest sport in the world.
And we're going to come out there and be like, Happy
beers.
Gilmore in it?
Exactly. So, I mean, yeah.
Happy Gilmore did just come out, so maybe it just kind of refueled some of that.
Yeah.
Or Happy Gilmore, too.
Or a few dozen beers were down.
Right.
We're down. And,
a lot of Guinness. And we predicted that as well.
Correct. But, I mean, that kind of just covers that golf tournament. The season's going to get ramped up again for these guys going into the winter. They'll play a lot of the smaller tournaments. But, that is it for this season, I guess, for the golf.
Dang. Yeah. What a deal.
Yeah.
How about that WNBA?
Yeah, I think we got to talk about it. You know, they're the kind of the main stages of the playoffs right now. And it was some big series games this weekend. You know, we had Phoenix, you know, who's a really, really tough basketball team. They revitalized their whole roster this offseason, and they took down the Lynx.
What a bummer.
What a bummer. Yeah, the Lynx.
The home team girls.
The home team is gone.
Dang it.
Unfortunately, they lost game 2 and 3. So, you know, going into game 4, it was win or die. And
who's our coach?
Cheryl Reeves.
Still?
Yeah.
She's old.
Yeah, so I don't know if you guys saw in the news at all. Something to keep an eye out for is Nafisa Collier kind of basically called out the commissioner, the league, for the WNBA. She called them out. And it's the first time in my memory or history that an active player, a superstar in a league, calls out the administrative team, the commissioner. I mean, essentially they just completely bashed the way they've treated the players.
Wow.
And it speaks on the officiating. The
officiating. They've
officiating.
kind of been having issues with that all year long.
Yes.
Even last year a little bit too.
The officiating has been awful.
Yeah.
I mean, basically the way the WNBA works is that most of the officials are from the G League of the NBA. And so if they're G League NBA officials, there's a reason they're G League and not NBA officials. And so it speaks on the fact that they have missed calls, made bad calls. I mean, these are close games. These girls are, you know, playing for a chance to win a championship.
Yep.
The last thing they want to be the factor is the refs making bad calls. They want the basketball to speak for itself.
Exactly.
And so a lot of power and a lot of respect that you have to give to Nafisa making that call.
At least use the D-League refs.
Yeah, exactly. And so it's one of those that I think I got to give her a lot of respect. It takes a lot of guts to do what she did. So unfortunately, the Phoenix Mercury do get the win and head to the finals. But I think all things considered, it's a good result in terms of hopefully some change in the future. And then the other big series was the Aces, and you had the Fever. We kind of talked about it. We thought that the Fever, could pull off the upset. They battled hard. They lost some tough games in game 2 and 3 against the Aces, and they did come back in game 4 and get the win to tie it up.
Yep.
However, going into last night, just the best player on the planet, Asia Wilson, kind of was the best player on the court. And when that happens, it's usually a tough one to come back and win. The Aces got the win in overtime. So a very, very good Fever team. So definitely something to look out for going into next year. They had so many injuries. They had 3 of their starters out. So to go on this deep of a run without those guys, especially the ones that we know, Caitlin Clark and stuff like that, they're going to be a team to watch out for next year. Early next year's finals prediction is the Fever win it all. So I think that'll be one to watch out for. But, yeah, you'll have Aces and Mercury in the finals starting this week.
Whew. There's our 5 games or 7?
It was a 5-game series and the 7 in the finals. It's the first year of that, actually.
Oh, right on.
So we will talk about that as well. But, I guess probably the last big thing on the docket in the sports world would have been baseball. MLB. We had the conclusion of the regular season end on Sunday. So kind of set our wild card matchups that, started on Tuesday night. Well, Tuesday day, actually. They started all day. All 4 of them played.
Yep.
Started off with Guardians Tigers. Tigers win 2-1 behind an absolute gem from Tarek Skubal. Had 14 strikeouts through 7 2/3. He just looked special. He's been really good these last 2 years. The question is can he continue to do that for them?
Herculean performance.
Absolutely. I mean, it was spectacular.
Crazy.
I think you're going to see a lot of that this postseason. That it's going to be games where you have pitching dominance and then you have hitting prowess.
And that one ties the franchise postseason record.
That is correct.
Wow.
Yeah, like I said, one of those performances that you won't forget. To follow that, the next game was Padres Cubs. It was kind of more of that low key game of not necessarily a pitcher's duel, more of that kind of back and forth kind of dynamic. The Cubs did end up getting the win 3-1. They had back-to-back home runs from Suzuki and Kelly in the 5th to kind of boost their scoring. They were shut out prior to that, which kind of gave them enough. They have one of the best bullpens in the MLB.
Yeah.
And their bullpen kind of shut them down through game 1. So that they take the win in that one. And then I would say probably the guy who we talked about earlier might win Cy Young, Garrett Crochet.
Yeah.
The Red Sox played the Yankees. The Yankees had the same record as the Blue Jays, but did not have the head-to-head. So they actually have to play in this series versus having the bye, which could end up being the reason why they're out of the playoffs. Garrett Crochet pitched 7 2/3 with only 1 run and 11 Ks. Just another dominant performance. Max Fried threw a scoreless 7 innings for the Yankees. So the Yankees were up 1-0 when he left the game. Their bullpen gave up 3 runs for them to lose 3-1. That's been the Yankees' problem. They tried to address it in the trade deadline, and it still isn't good enough. So I think that's one of those things that sometimes money isn't everything.
Nope.
And just because they have it doesn't mean it's going to be the team that wins on the day.
That's right.
And so
take that.
Yeah, I mean, who doesn't love to see the Sox beat down the Yankees? So.
Exactly.
But
who doesn't love to see anybody beat down the Yankees?
Yeah,
except Yankees fans.
Yeah, maybe Yankees fans. Yeah, I would say maybe.
But everybody else that's not a Yankees fan loves to see them get beat down.
Correct. And then your nightcap, the team that shockingly, is playing in this first round just based on record. They didn't have the greatest regular season, but the Dodgers, they beat down the Reds.
Yep. Yep, they did.
Both Shohei Ohtani and Teoscar Hernandez both hit 2 homers in the game. It was a 10-5 victory
But they're the Dodgers. They're America's team, so they had to do it.
You know, and so definitely one to see. I think the Dodgers, you know, if they catch hot with bats like that, that's a tough team to beat. Yeah. So we'll see. See as the series progresses and as the postseason progresses. In the American League, the winners of their series will face off against the Blue Jays and the Mariners in the divisional round. And then in the National League, you have the Brewers and the Phillies who have the bye, who are waiting their opponents in that best-of-3 wild card series.
Yep.
So on the local front, Twins finally fire Rocco Baldelli after 7 years with the team. Hopefully, this is a start to a new future for the Twins.
But we've said that for the last, 40 years.
Yeah, I mean, if you still don't have the roster, as we saw, we basically traded away pretty much everybody. Yep. It's going to be tough for whoever comes in to win games. So hopefully they can figure out a solution that works better for the team going forward. But either way, he is gone. We appreciate him for his 7 years with the service. But
do we?
Maybe not some, but you got to give power to or credit where credit's due.
That's true.
But either way, that's it for our kind of baseball news and what to look out for.
There you go. That is a lot that happened this last week.
That's a lot, yeah. Probably more than normal in terms of coverage, for sure.
We didn't even cover anything that's happening in soccer or the NHL, so it's just getting ramped up and or ramped down.
Yeah, just getting going on the preseason.
Yeah. Preseason just fired up with NHL.
And actually on the NHL front, Kirill Kaprizov finally signed his extension.
Let's go.
So he just became the highest paid player ever in the NHL. Signed a 8-year contract for I think like 134 million, 17 million a year. If those numbers are accurate.
Sounds accurate.
It was debated. He had given that contract offer and he actually refused it initially. I believe it had to do with something with guaranteed money. They did figure out a solution, to hopefully, keep him around. And now he's the highest paid player in hockey. So it's a new day and age that hockey players can make $17 million. It's always been talked about in terms of comparison and the other MLB, NFL, you name it, other sports in terms of contract breakdown.
Finally getting the buzz.
They're finally making enough money where they can afford to pay a guy that much, which is great. So good things in the future, hopefully, for the Wild.
Fantastic. Well, there you have it. That's sports recap for, we'll call it week 4 of the NFL plus everything else.
Yeah, right.
Until next time, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Thank you for everyone who's already starting to support this brand new channel. We are excited to see where it goes. Also follow us on Instagram, TikTok. We've got a bunch of stuff going on over there as well.
Yeah, for sure. Appreciate it.
See you all in the next one.
All right.
Peace.